So I had an interview today, so I decided to redo my makeup and to show you what I did and what kind of tips and tricks I apply, because I feel like especially for a corporate environment you really want to focus on perfecting your skin and creating some definition around your face and around your eyes to give your face some structure. What I wouldn't recommend is to play around with color and with glittery eyeshadows or glittery highlight. I'm gonna start off with a foundation today, which I usually don't reach for, but a foundation is going to give you a really good coverage. And the thing I like about this foundation, it's the Maybelline Luminous and Smooth, is that it's really lightweight and doesn't look like a foundation while still giving you the coverage you will need. So what I like to do with foundations is I'm gonna put 2 pumps on the back of my hand and then applying this with my finger. This way the product will already warm up. What I've seen so many times on Instagram is that people apply it straight with their sponge, but the thing I don't like about applying it straight with your sponge to your face is that the sponge will soak up the product and you're going to end up using much more product than you would have needed in the first place. And then I'm already going to start to blend the foundation onto my neck to give it a really seamless finish. And once you have sufficiently blended in the product with your fingers, you can take your sponge and then you can start blending in the product with your sponge. Then I will go on to conceal using a matte concealer by NARS, which will give me more coverage than a light reflective one. The thing I'm going for today is to use really full coverage products on one hand to give me a really perfected base, whilst on the other hand trying to blend it in as well as I can with my sponge to make it look as seamless and natural as possible. This concealer is the shade of my skin, so it won't look like I concealed my under eyes too much. And then using the same concealer on the spots around my chin. And I have some imperfections here and on my cheek. As I always do, I'm going to let my concealer sit for a second and then blend it in with my sponge. Kind of lighting in an office space is particularly cruel, as it will pick up immediately if you used too much powder on your face, and your skin will look very dry immediately. So I'm going to use a really tiny amount of powder. This brush will give me a lot of precision as it has a very small brush head. As it is very small, and I'm going to dip it into my translucent powder. Then I'm going to work in the translucent powder so it is evenly distributed on my brush. And then I'm going to softly dot it on my under eyes and wherever I used concealer, and the places where I would usually crease, which is for me around my mouth. Then whatever is left on my brush, I'm going to put on my T-zone, as this is where I tend to get really oily throughout the day. And then on my brows, because I really want to set the foundation around my brows so I can fill them in later with a pencil. So I've perfected my base. Now I'm going to sculpt my cheeks and give them a very natural flush. I'm going to start with this bronzer. It turns out really dark on camera. It actually is. But I really like using a dark bronzer to give me a very sculpted and defined effect without having to contour, because contouring in the lighting of an office space looks far too unnatural. I'm going to use the brush I used today, which is why it's already a little bit dirty, but this is the Soft Focus Face by Bare Minerals. It's really old, but it has exactly the shape I will need. It's small enough so I can be precise, but the soft bristles will allow me to really blend it into my skin. So I'm going to pick up only a tiny amount and then softly working it into my temples and my cheekbones to give me this defined effect I'm going for. Remember, you can always go in later, adding more, but taking product away is really difficult. So slowly add some layers of bronzer. And then don't forget to connect the color of your face with the color of your neck, so it all looks very unified and even. I'm really happy with the way this looks because now you can see I have a lot more dimension going on than earlier, especially if you use foundation. All the shadow you take away by using foundation, you have to add later on by using a bronzer or a contouring palette. Now I'm going to give myself a very subtle blush to finish off my cheeks, and I'm using a NARS palette. You can use any matte blush you like. You can see there are two matte shades, peachy one and the pink one. And whereas I really like a peachy blush because it is a very natural shade, I'm going to use the pink one today because a cool toned blush like this pink one will brighten up your face and make yourself look very fresh and awake. So I'm going to use the cool toned one, using a really fluffy face brush to work it into my cheeks. I finished my base as well as my cheeks, and now I'm going to move on to brows. And today I'm going to show you something I have discovered quite recently. I've always had very thin brows, so I'm always trying to find new solutions to make them look more fluffy and big, and especially because we're going for a very corporate professional style today, you really want to make sure that your eyebrows look very neat and groomed. So the thing that I've discovered after struggling with my eyebrow gel for years now, I'm going to take a hairspray. This is the Ultime volume hairspray, but you can actually take any hairspray and then put your hairspray on top of a spoolie, and I'm going to brush this into my eyebrows. This will really stay up all day, like no brow gel ever would with my eyebrows. And I'm really trying to brush them upwards in the front and then being a bit softer with the tail of my brows. And then you just take a brow pencil and fill them in. Now I've finished off my brows. Before doing my eyes, I'm just going to spritz my face with a setting spray. And again, because we want to look hydrated and not too powdery, I'm going to use the MAC Fix Plus setting spray, which is not really good for making your makeup last, but it is really good for hydrating your skin and making your skin look less powdery. So I'm going to let that sit for a second. And the final step is going to be lashes. I'm going to curl my lashes just to open up the eyes and make them look as awake as possible. And then finishing off the eyes with some mascara. And then pushing up my lashes to get that really open look. My camera's going to die. Oh no, my camera's going to die. And my only final step is to take a blending brush and the same bronzer we used earlier. Take a little bit, blending this out on the back of my hand so that there's very little product left. And I'm blending it into my crease and on my lower lash line, just to give myself the softest definition. And I believe that's it. This is the makeup look I've worn for my interview today. I'm just really unhappy with my hair right now because my mom as well as my boyfriend were the only people who are watching my YouTube videos, if we're being honest. Hello mommy. Have told me that I need to brush my hair before filming a video. And I feel like they're right. So that's enough rambling. I feel this wraps up this video. I tried to make sure to keep it as polished and as simple as possible, with no highlighter, with no crazy colors, with no lipstick or real eyeshadow, to be honest. I only tried to give my cheeks some definition with a very light application of a dark bronzer, a pink blush to make me look more awake, a really defined brow, and loads of mascara to open up my eyes. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you could take something from it, and I really hope you will wear this to your next job interview. I wish you a great deal of luck for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next one.